"I'm sorry, sir, we've already filled the position," she said sharply, barely glancing up from her screen. Andre froze. I had an interview scheduled for 10:30. Andre Williams. The woman at the front desk, Claire, tilted her head, her eyes scanning his face like he didn't belong. "That's not possible," she replied coolly. "You must be mistaken." He reached into his pocket, pulling out his phone with the email still open. "No, I'm not mistaken. I have the confirmation right here. From your HR rep, Jordan." Claire leaned back, clearly uninterested. Her voice rose just enough for the nearby staff to hear. "Sir, as I said, the position is filled. You're not on the list." Andre stood motionless for a second. His heart pounded, but he stayed composed. "Could you please double-check?" "I came all the way from Harlem," she interrupted with a flat laugh. "You came from Harlem? Look, we don't do walk-ins. You need an appointment to be here." "I have an appointment," he said again, this time slower. But she was already looking past him like he'd disappeared. And just like that, Andre realized he wasn't being heard. He was being dismissed. Andre gently placed his phone on the counter, the screen glowing with the interview confirmation. Claire smirked. "You're Andre Williams?" He nodded. She sighed and tapped her keyboard, not typing anything. "Are you sure this is the right building? Innovatech has a few locations. Maybe you're thinking of our outreach program downstairs." Andre blinked, trying to remain calm. "I'm here for the software engineer position. Bachelor's from Georgia Tech. 5 years of experience. I've been emailing with Jordan for a month." Claire's smile was tight and mocking. "Right. Well, maybe HR made a mistake." A pause. Then she added, "Or maybe you misunderstood where you belong." He clenched his jaw. "Excuse me?" Claire stood up slightly, folding her arms. "Look, you're not on the list. I don't know what else to tell you." Andre stared at her, his confidence unraveling under the weight of something he'd felt before, but never this blatant. Before Andre could respond, the glass doors behind him slid open. A white man in a wrinkled hoodie and scuffed sneakers strolled in, earbuds dangling from his collar. Claire's demeanor changed instantly. "Hi there. Welcome to Innovatech. Can I get you some water while you wait?" The man looked confused. I'm here for the open position. I don't have an appointment, though." "No worries at all." Claire beamed. "We're happy to squeeze you in. Just take a seat, and someone will be with you shortly." Andre watched it happen. Felt it happened. Same lobby, same job. No credentials, no questions. He turned back to Claire. "You told me the position was filled." Claire shrugged without meeting his eyes. Things change. Andre's mouth opened, but no words came. The contrast wasn't just clear, it was loud. And suddenly, he knew this wasn't about qualifications, that it was about perception. Andre exhaled slowly. "I'm not trying to cause a problem. I just want what I was promised a chance." Claire leaned closer to the phone on her desk and pressed a button. Her voice switched from cold to alarmed. "Hi. Yes, this is Claire at reception." "I have." An aggressive individual refusing to leave the lobby. Andre blinked. Aggressive? She looked up at him like he'd just thrown a chair. He's raising his voice, making our staff uncomfortable. A few heads turned. Someone near the back shifted in their seat. The white guy who just walked in looked up, confused. "I'm not yelling," Andre said, his voice calm but firm. "I'm asking why I'm being treated like I don't exist." Claire ignored him. "Yes, please send someone right away." "Thank you." She hung up and smirked. "You can wait outside, sir." "Outside?" His voice cracked slightly. A man sitting nearby mumbled, "Here we go again." Another whispered, "Just let it go, man." Andre stood tall, but inside, He felt it the sting of being framed for a threat he never made. And now, the story they'd tell wasn't about a missed interview. It was about a black man who had to be removed. The elevator, DINGED. To security. Guards stepped out stoic, indifferent, already briefed. Sir, one said, approaching Andre, we need you to leave the premises. Andre shook his head slowly. Please, I had a scheduled interview. I've been preparing for this for weeks. The guards exchanged a look. We're just following protocol. I'm not a threat, Andre said. I just want to be treated like any other candidate. Claire crossed her arms and watched with smug satisfaction as the guards gently placed a hand on his arm. Andre pulled back. Don't touch me. I'll walk by myself. He turned toward the exit, his vision blurring. Every step felt heavier. Whispers filled the space behind him. Phones were out, recording, spectating. Not one person intervened. As the doors slid open. Andre caught his reflection-creased suit, trembling hands, eyes burning. He didn't look dangerous. He looked defeated. The guards stayed behind, but the weight of judgment walked with him all the way to the glass doors. Just before they closed behind him, he heard Claire's final jab. Maybe next time, come dressed for success. And that more than the escort cut the deepest. Outside. The air hit Andre like a slap-sharp, sudden, humiliating. He stood on the sidewalk, unsure where to go. Every part of him screamed for justice, but there was no one left to listen. Then he felt a presence. Across the drive, a sleek black SUV had just pulled up. The door opened, and out stepped Viola Davis. She stopped mid-stride, her eyes locking onto Andre. For a moment, neither of them moved. She saw everything, the pain, the injustice, the truth etched across his face. And Andre, barely holding it together, saw something else in her expression. Recognition. And fire. Have you finished that assignment yet? His mom asked, dropping her bag on the couch. Andre didn't look up from his textbook. Almost. Just need to solve these last two. She smiled faintly, exhaustion settling in her eyes. Don't stay up too late, baby. That was his routine. Homework by the flickering street lamp outside the bus stop. His mother works as a hospital janitor. No savings. No shortcuts. But never once did she complain. Never once did Andre ask why life came harder for them. He just knew what was expected. Excellence without excuses. In high school, he coded his first app on a borrowed laptop. In college, he pulled graveyard shifts to afford textbooks. Every closed door became fuel. The world didn't hand him anything. But Andre learned to build quietly, brick by brick. Because in his world, hard work wasn't optional. It was survival. He'd done everything right. Bachelor's in computer science, internships, open source, contributions, projects that had recruiters commenting, impressive portfolio. But somehow, the replies never changed. We've decided to pursue other candidates. We'll keep your resume on file. At first, he thought it was timing. Then bad luck. But 6 months turned into a year. Friends from school, some with lower GPAs, were getting hired at startups in Brooklyn and Soho. Andre watched them post office selfies with latte, bars and glass-walled lounges. He stopped counting rejections after 72, not because it hurt less, but because it was starting to feel normal. That's what scared him most. Thanks for hopping on the call, Andre. Their voices were always warm at first. Until Zoom loaded. He'd see it in their faces every time. A pause, a flicker, a recalibra tie. Suddenly, their questions felt colder, their smiles flatter, their energy drained like a light dimming behind the screen. One woman didn't bother hiding it. Oh, she said, surprised. I didn't realize. Never mind. Another recruiter, after praising his skills, added, You might be a better fit for a diversity-first company culture. Andre muted his mic for a second, just to breathe. It wasn't paranoia. It was a pattern, and it never showed up in writing, only in silence. New York City's tech world moved fast, flashy, competitive, polished. Andre could feel it even from the sidewalk. Office towers filled with culture-fit candidates and curated smiles. He'd walk in suited up, resume tight, ideas ready. But from the moment he stepped inside, there was always a look, a pause, a moment of scanning, not for his qualifications, but for him. He started noticing how rarely anyone looked like him in these rooms. Talent wasn't the issue. Access was, and ambition alone couldn't break glass if the ceiling was built to reflect only certain faces. Then came the email. Innovatech would like to invite you for an in-person interview this Friday. Andre reread it 5 times. He knew this company, followed them for years. Their work on AI and accessibility, their founder's TED Talk. This wasn't just another shot. It was the shot. He pressed his shirt the night before, polished his shoes, practiced his opening answers in the mirror like they were monologues. He didn't just want the job. He deserved the opportunity to compete. As he closed his apartment door that morning, his mom texted, "Proud of you already. Walk in like you belong." And he did, until he was told otherwise. Name? Claire's voice cut through the lobby without lifting from her keyboard. Andre cleared his throat, holding his folder steady. Andre Williams. I'm here for the interview. Her fingers didn't stop moving. No glance, no acknowledgement. Just a clipped nod, as if she'd heard a distant noise. From that moment, Andre sensed a cold barrier. The receptionist treated him like an annoyance and interruption to her day, rather than a visitor with a purpose. Let me check, she muttered, eyes glued to the screen, barely masking impatience. Andre's confidence wavered. This wasn't the welcoming he'd hoped for. Do you have proof of your appointment? Claire finally asked, voice flat. Andre calmly pulled out his phone, opening the confirmation email. Yes, right here. Scheduled for 10 a.m. with HR. She skimmed it briefly, barely interested. I'll need to verify in the system. Her fingers returned to texting, eyes never meeting his. Minutes dragged on as Andre waited in silence, hope shrinking with each tap on her phone. Across the room, no one else was asked to validate their presence. The unspoken message stung. Just then, a young man in a casual hoodie breezed through the door. Good morning. Here for my interview, he said with an easy smile. Claire's demeanor shifted instantly. She stood, offered water, and gestured toward the waiting area. Andre watched as the man was led away. No questions asked, no skepticism in sight. His own presence had sparked suspicion, while the other was met with warmth. The contrast wasn't subtle, it was glaring. Andre's throat tightened. Was this the reality? Favoritism wrapped in casual friendliness? Andre tried again, voice steady but firm. I have the confirmation. I'm supposed to be interviewed today. Claire sighed heavily, dropping her phone. Look, she said, irritation sharpening her tone. It's just not going to happen today. No explanation. No apology. Her words hung in the air like a verdict. Andre swallowed the lump rising in his throat. Please, I'm prepared for this, he pleaded softly. But Claire had already turned back to her screen, signaling the conversation was over. The dismissal felt personal, deeply unfair. Andre's hands clenched around his folder. The room seemed to shrink. He realized this wasn't just a scheduling issue. It was something darker, a quiet profiling hidden beneath professionalism. This moment wasn't about his qualifications or the date on an email. It was about who was allowed through the door and who was not. Every polite denial, every glance away, every unasked question built a wall he couldn't see. but felt pressing in. The truth settled heavy. No matter how skilled, how prepared, the color of his skin had already marked him. The frustration was suffocating. Andre opened his mouth, but words caught in his throat. Any protest risked confirming the stereotype they'd already pinned on him. He swallowed his anger, shrinking into silence. Claire smirked as she dismissed him with a cold glance, moving on to the next visitor. Unaware or unwilling to care that the dignity she crushed in that moment would ignite a fire far beyond this lobby. He's getting aggressive. Security now. Claire's voice sliced through the lobby like an alarm. Andre froze, disbelief flooding his mind. Aggressive? Where was the threat? He had only asked a simple question, politely, calmly, but her words painted a dangerous picture. In seconds, turning curiosity into suspicion. Nearby, people shifted uneasily. Some glanced at Andre with guarded eyes. Others whispered behind their hands. His heart pounded, the weight of the false accusation crushing him faster than words could explain. "Sir, please calm down," one of the bystanders murmured. But no. One stepped forward to defend him. Andre's calm facade began to crack. But he refused to give them the satisfaction of panic. This wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a deliberate attempt to brand him as a threat. All because of the color of his skin. Phones emerged from pockets like weapons, ready to capture. The moment. One man muttered, "Here we go again." As he aimed his camera. Another bystander shrugged, scrolling silently, more interested in watching than intervening. Claire slipped back behind her desk, pretending the storm didn't exist. Her eyes never meeting Andre's. He stood isolated, the center of a growing crowd that chose spectacle over support. The weight of silent spectatorship pressed on him harder than any direct confrontation. In the midst of the buzzing phones and half-whispered comments, Andre realized how invisible. He had become seen only as a problem, not a person. His voice cracked, but didn't break. "You didn't even check my name." Andre's words echoed, filled with desperate clarity. "I earned this shot. I've worked for this." Some faces softened, others turned away, uncomfortable with the raw honesty. The security guards hesitated, eyes flicking between Andre and Claire. "You can't just push me out without hearing me," he insisted, stepping forward, trembling but unwavering. "This isn't just about a job. It's about fairness, dignity. I'm qualified. I belong here." His hands shook, but the words poured out truth laid bare in a world too quick to judge. The room filled with tension, thick and suffocating. No one spoke, but the guards edged closer, unsure, caught between duty and doubt. Andre stood firm, voice rising not in anger, but in the painful fight for recognition. Two security officers flanked Andre, their grip firm yet not violent. "Let's take this outside," one said, voice low, almost apologetic. His shoulders sagged under the weight of humiliation. The folder, with his meticulously prepared resume, slipped from his grasp, hitting the floor with a hollow thud. No helping hand reached down. Andre's eyes caught his reflection in the glass doors, face flushed, suit wrinkled, dignity frayed at the edges. Wasn't just being removed. He was erased. The crowd murmured, phones recording every moment. The realization hit. This wasn't a private injustice. It was public, viral, before he even left. As he was guided through the lobby, the sting of betrayal burned hotter than embarrassment. This was a system designed to exclude, to silence. And yet, Andre held on to a flicker of defiance. Knowing this moment was not the end. Claire leaned toward Andre's retreating back, her voice dripping with cruel sarcasm. "Maybe next time, come dressed for success." The words struck deeper than any slap. Andre didn't turn around. The jab wasn't just about appearance. It was a bitter reminder of the barriers he faced daily. Those doors had shut in his face. But her spiteful remark, echoed louder. In that moment, humiliation turned to resolve. Claire's cruelty was a spark. Andre's fight had only just begun. Across the street, dark-tinted windows rolled down slightly. Viola Davis sat still, gaze locked on the scene unfolding before her. She watched Andre's removal with quiet intensity, every detail etched into her mind. Her lips pressed tight, thoughts racing. The weight of injustice had landed in her lap. Viola didn't move yet, but inside, the wheels of action began to turn. This wasn't just another story. It was a call to change. Viola's voice sliced through the murmurs, steady yet blazing. "Did you see that? That man was scheduled. I want to know who runs this building." Her words hung in the air, igniting a charge in the room. Her team exchanged glances, sensing the fire behind her calm exterior. "That was blatant injustice," she added, eyes narrowing. "No one should be treated like that, not here, not anywhere." The usual silence of passive observers shattered as her demand made it clear this wasn't just another incident to ignore. Her presence alone shifted the energy, turning quiet, witnessing into a call for accountability. Viola turned sharply to her assistant, voice low but firm. "I'm not just visiting. I helped fund this place." Her words flipped the balance instantly. The assistant's eyes widened. "You're a major investor?" "Exactly," Viola replied. "And I expect more from Innovatech than this." She straightened, a pillar of authority standing tall against complacency. "This company represents progress, and yet today it failed spectacularly," she said, the weight of her stake making every word cut deeper. In that moment, the building was no longer a distant corporate entity, but a personal responsibility. Viola's footsteps echoed with purpose as she entered the lobby, every stride commanding attention. The staff stiffened. Whispers died down. Claire's face drained of color as realization dawned. This wasn't just a complaint. It was a reckoning. Without hesitation, Viola's voice rang out, sharp and unwavering. "Call the CEO now." Her tone brooked no delay, no excuses. The receptionist fumbled for the phone, fingers trembling. Suddenly, the dismissive atmosphere twisted into tension thick enough to choke. Viola's calm fury was palpable. Authority radiated from her every word. Those who had overlooked injustice now scrambled under the weight of impending consequences. Claire's voice wavered, a fragile defense. "I didn't know who he was." Viola didn't bother looking at her. "And that's exactly the problem," she said quietly but firmly. The words cut deeper than any accusation. Claire's excuses fell flat, swallowed by the truth. Viola brushed past without a glance. Her focus sharp and unyielding. No room remained for denial. The gatekeeper had been exposed, not just for one mistake, but for a system built on selective blindness. In the boardroom, Viola's eyes scanned the official schedule projected on the screen. A senior executive hesitated, then read aloud, "Andre Williams, interview at 10:30 a.m. Silence thickened the room. Viola raised a single eyebrow, voice cutting through the quiet. "So why was your receptionist gatekeeping opportunity based on skin tone?" The question lingered. Bold and unanswerable. Executives shifted uncomfortably, caught between protocol and prejudice. "This isn't just about one man," Viola continued. "It's about every candidate who faces invisible barriers." Her demand for transparency forced a reckoning. Innovatech's reputation now hinged on their response. Meanwhile, the world was already watching. A video of Andre being escorted out spread like wildfire online. Thousands of views in minutes. With the caption, "This is what racism in tech looks like." Comments exploded with outrage. Stories of similar experiences flooding in. The company's image was burning. Public pressure mounting. No corporate spin could silence the truth now. The digital age had made every injustice visible, unstoppable. Viola's Confrontation wasn't just timely, it was a necessary battle in a war fought on social media's front lines. Outside, Andre sat on a bench, head in hands, crushed by the weight of humiliation. His silence spoke volumes, hope slipping through his fingers. Viola's team found him, hesitant but determined. She knelt down, voice soft but resolute. "You were supposed to be heard today. You still will be." Andre looked up, confusion mixing with cautious hope. For the first time that day, the possibility of justice felt real. Side by side, Andre and Viola re-entered the building. Heads turned. Whispers rippled through the lobby. Claire's face paled no longer dismissive but terrified. Andre's steps were steady, his posture proud. This time, no one dared question his presence. The power dynamic had shifted. Visibility replaced invisibility. Dignity replaced dismissal. The fight was far from over, but the tide had unmistakably turned. "I didn't come here to be an activist. I came to build things," Andre began, voice steady yet layered with unspoken pain. "But today, you made me both." The room was silent, his words cutting deeper than any resume or portfolio ever could. He continued, "I am not asking for favors or sympathy. I'm here to contribute, to innovate, and to be judged on my merits, not the color of my skin." Faces around the table shifted uncomfortably, some nodding, others lost in thought. Andre's calm dignity spoke volumes, exposing the truth behind the discrimination he faced. "This experience," he added, "has shown me that talent alone isn't enough when barriers are built on bias." His message was clear. The fight wasn't just personal, it was systemic. The executives listened, confronted not only with his skill, but the weight of their company's failure. By the end of the day, the company released a formal statement. Claire Hastings was terminated for misconduct. Her desk was cleared quietly, a silent acknowledgement of the gravity of her actions. More importantly, an urgent internal investigation into hiring gatekeeping policies was launched. The company pledged transparency and reform, recognizing that accountability had to start from within. This wasn't just damage control, it was a step toward genuine change. The message was unmistakable. Systemic racism disguised as routine procedure would no longer be tolerated. As the video of Andre's story continued to surge across social platforms, job offers poured in, many with six-figure salaries and prestigious titles. But Andre declined. "We don't need just one seat at the table," he told his closest advisors. "We need to build a new table, one where everyone has a voice." Driven by this vision, he launched ClearHire, a platform dedicated to exposing racial bias in recruitment and promoting equitable hiring practices. His journey had transformed him from a victim into a visionary. Committed to dismantling the hidden barriers in corporate culture, ClearHire quickly gained traction, becoming a beacon for job seekers and employers demanding accountability. Viola Davis stood beside Andre on a live CNN segment titled, "Changing the Gatekeepers." "This isn't just about Andre," Viola declared. "It's about every door quietly slammed shut on someone like him, every opportunity withheld because of invisible prejudice." Their conversation resonated worldwide, sparking debates and inspiring companies to reevaluate their hiring practices. Viola's backing provided not only financial support, but a powerful platform to amplify Andre's mission. Together, they became the face of a movement challenging systemic racism in tech and beyond. "I never wanted special treatment," Andre reflected softly. "Just a chance to be seen for who I am." His voice was calm, resolute, vulnerable. No more invisibility. No more excuses. Just fairness. Just respect. Those words lingered, a stark reminder that equality is not a favor, it's a fundamental right. Andre stepped into his new office, sunlight spilling through the glass. He wasn't alone, surrounded by a diverse, talented team, united by purpose. Was more than a company. It was a movement. A new door opened wide, welcoming everyone who'd once been denied entry. What would you have done if you were in Andre's shoes? Imagine facing rejection, not because of your skills, but because of who you are. Have you ever encountered gatekeeping or hidden racism at work? Maybe you were overlooked, dismissed, or underestimated simply due to bias, subtle or blatant. Your voice matters. Share your experience in the comments below. Let's create a space where stories are heard and solidarity grows. Like this video, subscribe for more stories that matter, and share to amplify change. Together, we keep turning the tables one story at a time. What's your take? We're listening.